and they come out, and their parents expect them to go to a good university. Now, in the midst of all of that, there are the sons and daughters of the sheikhs. Okay? One of the president's grandsons was in my son's class at the American International in Abu Dhabi. Okay? So, they're all expecting an English education. The government universities, well, they're supposed to be in Arabic. So suddenly, there's a huge market. And if you have very conservative families, well, they might send the boys overseas, but they won't send the girls. So if you can't go to study in America, the American universities will come to you, and so will the British, and even the Canadians and the French. So the market, in many ways, is actually not really even aimed at the local Emirati population. It's aimed at the NRIs, the expatriate Arab population, and at people from all over the place. Curtin University has a journalism, I think it's Curtin or Edith Cowan, has a journalism course in Dubai, and most of their students are actually from the former Soviet Union. Okay? Can't afford to go to Australia or America, but you can go to a branch campus and it's just as good. Okay? So this throws open all kinds of distortions in the market. Okay? And one of the other aspects, of course, is the whole English language education system, is you then get students like I had, in some cases from the Worcester families, the big, powerful, rich families, where I had students who couldn't speak a word of Arabic. English nannies, English tutors, English schools. Why should they speak Arabic? Okay? With a nice holiday flat in Mayfair and a villa by Lake Geneva, I mean, honestly.
But their parents are...
Emirati, yes, but if they're diplomats, lawyers, military, they might have been born overseas, lived overseas. They'll only speak English at home. If the father has married a foreigner, okay, who speaks only English, okay.
Do they have to maintain their religion?
Islam is a faith that covers all languages and cultures.
But they have to do their things in Arabic, their prayers in Arabic.
Yes, but that can be learned.
They recite them by heart.
They don't understand what they
Muslims
say.
do that. They don't understand the meaning, but they
Yeah,
just
they just
recite
say
by
it.
heart.
I'm not sure I'd go that far. Okay.
Oh, that's what I was told.
I use it very often.
Dominus Vobiscum. Ego te absolvo domini.
Exactly.
Yes, but I know what that means. Okay. All right, now, so this throws up all kinds of distortions. What it does do is it promotes this idea that English is somehow modern. Okay? Now, there are practical reasons. Okay? There are practical reasons. If you speak English and you've got a degree from a Western university, you've got a better chance of doing postgrad study in a Western university. You've also got a better chance of migration. Okay? You've got a much better chance of migration, and this is a huge issue for a lot of the expats living in the Emirates. Okay? They want a green card eventually, or they want to be a landed immigrant in Canada with a Canadian passport, or a New Zealand passport, or an Australian passport. Okay? So English language degree is a huge incentive. But it distorts the market. So English does have really serious practical benefits for a lot of people, but I think it also has this myth. It also has this kind of mystical connotation where it's become fetishized, that English is somehow modern, if we speak English, we'll be part of the modern world. One of my former colleagues, Stephen Quinn, wrote an article 10 years ago in which he said that, you know, if the UAE was going to become properly part of the modern world and properly benefit from globalisation, everybody would have to speak English and adopt a Western style. Well, yeah, I think he was seriously wrong. If you have enough money, you can do whatever you want in whatever language you speak. But I think there is still this notion that English is somehow modern and progressive and that you need it. Now, the whole notion of English has raised a lot of controversy lately. There have been big debates in India about this. There's an article in one of the leading Indian news magazines a couple of years about this, which was actually called The Curse of English. Okay. English speaking curse in Outlook India. Okay, there have been big debates about whether this affects culture in Saudi Arabia, in the Emirates. There's a lot of push and a lot of resistance to this from the local population. And there's also the notion that a Western university is somehow going to give you a better education. Now, in some cases, having seen some of what goes on and read articles by people, Omanis and Emiratis about this, yes, there are major problems in the universities, in the local universities, because they rely on rote learning and they rely on the old system where the lecturer is God and you don't question. And what this produces are people who know how to rote learn things and regurgitate them. Okay, my first week in Oman, the only Omani in our faculty came up to me and said, "Oh, don't bother teaching. I've been watching you. You're very good and I wish you taught me, but don't bother teaching these boys. What you need to do is to help them memorize the PowerPoints for the exam." Now, let me backtrack a bit. The AUT people, having thought that they were producing a full-blown Western curriculum, had supplied full curricula, thousands and thousands of words of readings, and God bless them, PowerPoints and links to videos on YouTube. Now, the links to videos on YouTube were unusable because YouTube was blocked on campus because, you know, the boys were looking at naughty things. Okay, the readings were so far beyond their level of English comprehension that we just went, ha, forget it, never used them. The curriculum, 14-week curriculum, you'd look at it, work out which of the 6 weeks they'd understand if you simplified everything, ditch the rest and teach them. And then what you did was, you taught with PowerPoint. Okay? Oh, I did fight, really, I did, till one of my colleagues said, "It is all right. In 1 year, you will stop fighting, and then you will be happy." And I thought, I will surrender to the Borg collective. Yes, I will. But this is what we did. And you showed PowerPoints. Because most of these kids had English IELTS scores of 5. And this stuff was aimed at IELTS levels of 6.5, and some of them we know had come out of the English classes without actually being taught in English because the Arabic teachers taught them in Arabic. Yeah, go figure that one, English language classes being taught in Arabic. And some of them were just totally, and so you taught them the PowerPoint. Okay, and that's what they did, and some of the teachers made sure that their students knew that for the exam we would do chapter 2, 3, 5, 14 and 6, and for chapter 2 we would do PowerPoint page 3, 5, 7 and 9. Because failing was bad. Okay? Now,
For everybody.
for everybody. Heck yes. Okay. And you go to ask What were the students like? Well, I'll tell you, they were some of the loveliest. The Omanis are some of the loveliest people on God's earth. They are kind, polite, caring, lovable. You know, Australia beat Oman twice running in the soccer, and they were very good about it. I just had to provide large amounts of chocolate in class as recompense. They were lovely. They're also the biggest bunch of frauds I've ever met. Cheat at the drop of a hat. Some of them, not all. And they saw nothing wrong with it. It was just natural. But, you know, for all that, these kids they taught me an awful lot. And they raised some really interesting questions. Okay? Why are we learning all of these Western, why are we learning all of these Western ideas, to which my colleague Nishi just said, these are Western ideas, learn them for the exam. Which I thought was practical. But they actually asked really serious questions like, why are we learning in English? Okay, why are we learning in English when we are never, in all probability, ever going to use English ever again? Unless we drive a taxi or we go into the armed forces or maybe some aspect of government. Niswa has an ad running at the moment asking for people to come and teach German. You know why? Because most tourists into Oman are actually German, not English. The Poms all go to Dubai. Okay, so it was a serious question. And why are we learning all of these Western ideas and theories? Why, sir, are we learning ethics? These are Western ideas. So, serious question. Because, sir, there are Islamic ethics and they're different. Because there is Islam and there is Sharia and there is what the Prophet and his companions have said. And, sir, that's it. That's all we need. You know, Oman has no code of ethics for journalists. None. It has a press law. Paragraphs 28 and 29 are the relevant ones, which say, basically, you mustn't insult anybody or be rude. And we did this in class, and the response was, Sultan Qaboos, Majesty Sultan Qaboos said, end of story. So, you're dealing with students who are bright, cheerful, a bit ruffianly in their ways, but asking sensible questions. Why English? We're never going to use it. Why are we learning Western ideas? They don't apply. Why are we learning Western journalism? Because we're a society where the family and honour and name and tribe are paramount. And your silly Western notions of individualism, they're wrong, sir, and they don't apply. So these students are very aware and they ask some really pertinent questions. Now, I'm going to wrap this up because we're progressing a bit. As I've started writing this, I think I'm at about 7,500 words, and I could probably write about 20, trying to cover all the bases. The AUT program will be transformed to the point where it will disappear. The students in Niswa will keep being taught. Western universities will keep looking at the Gulf and trying to milk it dry. I do worry that Oman, which is relatively untouched, is going to be the next target, because I think there are some very serious questions. Beata Josephi, in her book, does raise this question about why we're wanting to teach Western media, Western journalism in countries which aren't exactly free, and where their system and their way of doing things is really different. Let me just show you something very briefly. This is the Reporters Sans Frontières press freedom rankings for the GCC states.